Today, I will be discussing an important event in 2B2T history, the Facepunch War. In December of 2010, 2B2T was founded as one of the first anarchy servers in Minecraft history. Shortly after this, a post was made on 4chan attracting a lot of players to join the server. Time passed, and in early 2011, another post was made on Facepunch.com by Housemaster and George Bush. A player by the name of Cheshead saw this and rallied the Facepunchers to 2B2T. This was the start of the things to come. We will now discuss the Facepunch War and the events that followed. There wasn't a lot of info given due to most of the war being lost in the records of time. During this time on the server, the 4chaners made up a lot of the server population when the Facepunchers came along. It's estimated that 70% of the population was from 4chan, while only 30% was from Facepunch. On April 27th of 2011, a player known as Cheshead joined 2B2T. He then made a post on Facepunch.com. This was the beginning of the war that would soon follow. He later assembled a KOS list of 4chaners and other players. On April 28th of 2011, a battle occurred known as Grayskull's Last Stand. This marks the first battle of the impending war that was to come. Camp Facepunch was destroyed by Luke to the Bun. This marked the first base of the Facepunch Republic that was destroyed. At the time, Cheshead denied war, although he was threatened with obligations. War later was declared. During the dates of April of 2011 through July of 2011, the Facepunch Republic was at its peak and war was in full cycle. This was also when a majority of the Facepunch bases were active. The 4chaners began their griefing. During the time of July of 2011 through October of 2011, the Facepunch Republic began to wane and decline. The last thread about Facepunch on Facepunch.com was started on July 7th of 2011. It was titled 2B2T version 2, There is no Facepunch Republic. The Facepunchers were at a downfall due to 4chaners griefing. They couldn't fight an enemy with no system or bases. The 4chaners began basing secretly with Facepunch bases and leaking info. Due to this, many Facepunch bases were griefed and destroyed. Facepunchers began to quit 2B2T and give up on the idea of order. The war was fully in control of the 4chaners. Seeing this, Cheshead gave up power and left Facepunch. From October of 2011 to February of 2012, players continued to try and keep the Republic together with the departure of Cheshead. Soon after this, the group known as the Facepunch Republic began to fragment and was no longer organized. During June of 2012, the last band of Facepunchers, led by Fagotic, created a spawn base known as 2K2K, or Zion, with the hopes to constantly rebuild it to make griefers give up. This base failed as Facepunchers grew tired of constantly rebuilding and began to lose hope amidst constant griefing. The group slowly gave up and disbanded, causing the end of the Facepunch Republic. 2K2K would become the last holdout from members of the Facepunch Republic until June of 2012, when the base was almost totally griefed and the Republic was dissolved. The remaining former Facepunchers departed from spawn in bands and headed out far into the world. After the war, the Facepunch Republic was no more and a lot of players left from both sides. This event would lead to the great server decay, with only 20 to 30 players online daily. Giving up hatred, some Facepunchers and 4chaners would go off into smaller groups and set up bases, some of them even based with each other. After the war was over, the most notable group of Facepunchers still remaining after the fall was the group started by Coldwave, in which he hoped to create a new republic. He founded Hilterwood, a base farther from spawn. Later, the members of Hilterwood would fuse with Antaolia, create a legendary group. The last known Facepuncher base was founded by Night Vista, who created Fort Avril, which was griefed. Much later, the fusion would result in Valkyria. This group began in April 29th of 2013 and lasted some time until 2015. Some of its bases were Valkyria, Radamantis, Asgard 1, Valhalla, Nova, Fenrir, and Asgard 2. It sparked all of the first three spawn incursions and would inspire the future incursions of 2B2T as a legendary symbol. Unlike Facepunch, Valkyria carried power due to the 1.4.7 dupe. It was unable to be defeated by the griefers, unlike its predecessor. During the third incursion, the group dominated spawn for a whole month. Enemies like Jerry 2013 and Ormonger didn't stand a chance. I will perhaps make a history video on Valkyria sometime in the future. Some other minor groups involved in the Facepunch War were Judge's Group. When the war began, they were recruited to both sides of the conflict. The Brotherhood of Diamonds, who were mysterious and rumored to give players diamonds on both sides. And various raider groups and other independents with no faction that would interact in the war and grief basis. Some notable Facepunch players include Cheshead, who was the original leader of the Facepunch Republic, Chris Dom, Pop Bob until his rampage when he griefed Facepunch bases and then left, Passy05, Police Mike 55, Polly _ the Parrot, XCC2, who is still active to this day in the server, and Fagotic, whom took leadership after Cheshead's departure. There were members who betrayed the Republic as well. Harblax, who was a 4chan insider who later backstabbed stabbed the Face Punchers, and Pimp Master Flex and Cream of the Slop, who also betrayed the Face Punchers and joined the 4chaners. The Face Punchers liked to use a simple social class system. It went as followed. It used ranks like President, Advisor, Mayors, and Citizen. President was the leader of the Face Punchers. Advisors were put in place to keep bases in check and were required to arrange meetings with all the other advisors in order to agree with large decisions. Mayors essentially ran the towns of Face Punch, kind of like being a base lead, and citizens were just regular Face Punch players. Some famous Face Punch bases were Camp Face Punch Castle, Fort Creationism Corner, Fort Hardware and Software, Outpost Raptor 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Banana Republic, the Drunken Embassy, and several other bases, camps, and outposts. 2K, Hilterwood, and Fort Avril were among the last Face Punch bases. They often like to use the word fort, outpost, and camp when naming their bases. Some notable 4chan players were Luke to the Bun, Meowers, Acid 1212, who is rumored to have a backdoor access, Taus _Lightning, the _Bean, Asparagus, Gubby Gub, Sequel, Glent, Harblax, who was an undercover 4chan spy, Protoco 17, Benny Gun, Rage 6-9, Benny Hill, and Cream of the Slop, who joined the 4chaners after its conversion. The 4chaners really had no specific order to them, however they did have a social class system that is still present. Here are some of the rankings. Ancient Fags often were players who logged in on the first month of 2B2T's life. Not many of them are known, as no one has concrete proof of being on the server in 2010, but Housemaster and George Bush 420 are, as they created it. Old Fags were usually players that have been around for a good 4 or so years and have accomplished great things. There are still a few players that remain in 2B2T since 2011 or 2012. An example of this would be players such as XCC2 and Police Mike 55. Mid-Fags was a term coined to players who weren't total new Fags, but weren't old Fags. They were players who generally were accepted by old Fags, and in part of their merits as players. New Fags were players that were new in relative comparison to old Fags. It was commonly accepted that any old Fag can call a player that has just joined the server a new Fag. Yesterfags are new Fags that have joined 2B2T within the last 24 hours of the server. Beyond 24 hours is just new Fags, so don't worry. Nobody is a Yesterfag for long. Spawn Fags or PvP Fags were generally players that were frequently hanging out at spawn or camping 0-0 on both the Nether and Overworld. Many players use the term negatively because all of these players seem to want to do is sit at spawn and kill new Fags and not do anything productive. The 4chaners really had no system besides creating the social classes that were present in the server today. On another note, 4chaners were also the first group to bring the swastika to the server. This symbol would later be used by numerous groups like the Fourth Reich. In my opinion, the Facepunch War was a downward spiral of a group who tried to create some system of order in this server. However, the Facepunch Republic would later become the foundings of Valkyria, a group whom held the ideas and values of the original Facepunch Republic. They also seek to create order, and order they created, even for a short time. They had the resources and people to do so, and gave birth to the legend Sato, who had sparked 3 spawn incursions and start many bases such as Asgard 1 and 2. The idea of creating order amongst a society of anarchy has always been at the core of some people's values, while others would just like to watch the world burn. This is the continuous cycle of 2B2T, and this war was the start of something great. Please feel free to comment your opinion on this video below, and drop a sub if you would like to view new content on this channel. Thank you, and have a nice day. I would personally like to thank Joe Boney for helping me collect data on this video. I would also like to thank the authors of the 2B2T forum, who were able to collect and document a majority of this data. Thank you.